Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Max. How about you?
I am doing even better because it is another two-pod day.
That's
But
very
first, Caden, before we get into our second pod, we must get through the first, and that is, of course, our usual football weekend picks. Start us off. Let's do college first.
Yep.
First college game of the
The
week.
first college game we got, your school, 10 a.m.
Yes, it is.
Utah at CU, where CU is an 11.5-point favorite.
Caden, I am honestly surprised that this line is that big, considering the history between these two teams. But with the fact that Utah's on their third-string quarterback, I am not surprised that it ultimately, got to that point. I think Colorado's defense will dominate. I think they'll fly around and make plays early on. And even if that offense, might struggle early against a tough Utah defense, Caden, I think they'll end up finding their rhythm. And I think, the fact that Utah won't be able to score is going to be beneficial to Colorado. And I do see them covering this line.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. Yeah, because, Cam Rising's out for the year. And now after that game against UA, now their backup's out for the year.
Yeah.
So on their third string, who's, if I remember right, a redshirt freshman. And yes, they have a good defense, but they're not going to be able to score points. Like, CU wins this game 21-7, and look, they cover.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I don't think CU is going to be able to put up like 30 or more, probably, because Utah is a good defense. Utah isn't going to put up more than 10 points. So it should be a pretty easy game for CU to get the win in the cover.
Most definitely, Caden. I'll also be there watching very close from the sideline, so I'm excited to see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, next, though, we got my Longhorns, who are traveling to Arkansas, where Texas is a 13.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Caden, again, this is an iffy line just because the fact that this Arkansas team has played
They beat
very
Tennessee.
tough. Yeah, they beat Tennessee. And I think, they'll actually give, Texas a competitive game early. And I do think they'll come out firing. Ultimately, though, I think Texas, if they win by 2 touchdowns, they cover.
Yep.
So I'm going to ride with Texas once again to cover a larger point spread again.
Yeah, this time I'm actually agreeing with you. I think Texas will come through on this one. Yeah, I can see Arkansas keeping it close to the start because they do have that good defense.
Yes.
But I feel like as the game goes on, kind of like the CU-Utah game, Texas offense is just going to be able to overpower them and end up winning the game pretty easily. It should be, a nice, easy game for both our teams this week to keep, in contention, high rankings, all that sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think so, Caden. Texas and Colorado have been, kind of similar, paths this season. And, with the buys and everything, we've kind of followed them closely. But I think this is a week where both of them have the potential to get some very quality wins.
Yeah, I think the Texas game could probably be kind of like the Florida game last week. Just go in, do your thing, roll, nice, easy week.
Yes.
Next, though, we got a low-ranked matchup in the SEC. We got Missouri is traveling to South Carolina. The Gamecocks are a 13.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Caden, give credit to this Gamecocks team. Obviously, we saw what they were able to do last week. They are firing. They are rolling. And I think 13.5 is a lot of points, though, Caden.
Yep.
But ultimately, I'm going to trust them to get that cover and ride off with the momentum they have.
I know, I am too, and this especially just because of how injured Missouri is. It's still uncertain if Brady Cook's going to be able to play. They're on their backup, who's been iffy, to say the least. Like, it took a fumble recovery touchdown with 30 seconds remaining to beat a really bad Oklahoma football team last week at home. Now you have to travel to South Carolina, where Lawrence Sellers is playing his best football of the season these last couple of weeks. Yeah, you obviously beat A&M. Then last week against Vandy, where a lot of people saw it as maybe a trap game going to Vandy. They win easy, 28-7. This should be another big, good win for them to – I mean, obviously they're not going to go anywhere, obviously, like college football playoff-wise, but they're still looking good for the season. You're still building towards the future. You still have Lawrence Sellers 4 more years.
Yes.
So, you still get more wins. Obviously, it's just great for the program. And easy win. Missouri's they're done for on the year. Like, should be another good win for South Carolina.
True, Caden, which is unfortunate because this Missouri team has pieces. When they're healthy, we see how dominant of a team they can be. But ultimately injuries and accumulation of other things
and underperformance
cause them to drop. But ultimately, I expect them to come out fighting and clawing, but I don't see them winning.
I don't know if I see them coming out fighting and clawing. I think South Carolina probably blows them out.
I think
it's going to be a blowout.
I think so too. But that doesn't mean they're not going to try, Caden.
They'll try for like the first half of the first quarter, and then it'll just be downhill from there.
I think so too.
Now they'll get into more like actual what should be good, I'd say, football games.
Yes.
We have Tennessee traveling to Georgia, where Georgia is a 10-point favorite.
Woo! Okay. Georgia. obviously we saw what happened last week.
Oh, yeah.
With that big loss. I think they are going to be desperate for a victory. They can't drop another SEC game, kid. That being said, this Volunteers team is tough. We've seen what they've been able to do, this season. And they've also been kind of inconsistent. And there's one of those teams that have been like iffy.
They only got one loss. They're still in.
Really college football play. But I'm talking about in terms of the way they beat their opponents.
I mean, I do agree with you.
Like sometimes they'll have blowouts where the offense and defense is firing, and then sometimes they kind of they give in. Depending on what Tennessee team we get, if that offense is firing against a really tough Georgia defense, I think they can get a cover. And honestly, I think this game will be close. I think Georgia's going to win, but Tennessee covers.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it's really going to come down to if Nico plays. He's still in concussion protocol from the second half of last game. He's trending in the right direction. He's questionable on the first injury report that came out today. So it'll be kind of look like a game time decision. If he plays, that really helps Tennessee's offense because he's their starting quarterback and he's looked good this entire season. So, we saw him in that Bama game, able to make those big clutch throws when needed. Yeah, Georgia coming off that huge loss to Ole Miss, now fighting for their lives, trying to still make the playoffs. They need this win badly. I do think, even if Nico plays, I do think Georgia should be able to get the cover in this one.
All right, fair enough, kid.
No, our final college football game of the week that we're going to be talking about, we have Kansas traveling to BYU, where BYU is a 2.5-point favorite.
Caden, this Kansas team cannot be overlooked.
They are weirdly tough.
They are weirdly tough, and they've only gotten better as the season's gone on. Obviously, they've underperformed this season, But coming in, let's not forget, this team was a team that people thought would, They
were ranked to start the year.
Potentially compete for a Big 12 championship. And ultimately, they haven't been that. But that's not to say they can't, come get an upset win against BYU. Which, if that happened, Caden,
it's huge for CU.
Woo! Not only is it huge for CU, it shakes up the college football landscape as a whole. That being said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think BYU is aware that this is a tough opponent. And them coming off a really tough game against Utah, I think they'll be focused and primed and be able to cover that.
Yeah. We've seen Kansas against these ranked teams this year play really tough. They lost on a walk-off field goal to K-State after climbing back into that game. They beat Iowa State last week, who had now lost 2 straight after starting the year undefeated, 7-0. But I do think, BYU coming off that close game against Utah, against one of those tough defenses, their offense should be able to open up a little bit more this week at home against a Kansas defense that is nowhere near the caliber as Utah. And like you said, they've underperformed this year. They started the year, I'm pretty sure, ranked 17th in the country. And then, they've been losing. It's kind of like Arizona as well in the Big 12.
Yeah.
They're losing games, and Oklahoma State. They're losing games they shouldn't. And, they'll keep it close. The Iowa State was a huge win for them, big for the program. But I do think, BYU is fighting for a lot here. They need to keep winning football games to get into the playoff, to win the Big 12. And this is, I think, a great spot for them, especially at home, to be able to get the win in the cover.
Definitely, Caden. This is going to be a game we're going to have to watch very closely, ultimately, as someone, who's a Colorado person.
Oh, yeah. Now, let's get to our NFL games. We got a good slate of NFL this weekend.
Yes,
for sure.
we do.
In the morning slate, we got the Ravens. The Ravens traveling to Pittsburgh, 2 7-2 teams, where the Ravens are a 3-point favorite.
Kid, not only is this 2 7-2 teams, this is a division rivalry with a lot of history. These two teams do not like each other, and it is very clear when they meet on the football team. I am excited for this matchup. I think the fact that this is an early game is insane because I'm going to be jumping out of my chair, hopefully bright and early. That being said, ultimately it comes down to who has the better quarterback, and I am not betting against Lamar Jackson.
Yes, the Steelers have a great defense, and Baltimore's been weaker this year. But who are you putting your money on? Lamar and Derrick Henry, or Najee Harris and Russell Wilson? You're putting your money on Lamar and Derrick Henry. Yes, Mike Tomlin is definitely a better coach than Harbaugh. Everyone knows Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Yes, we're not saying that's not.
But then you look at the teams. The Steelers' offense is not good. They've been able to put up more points with Russ at the helm. Russ still isn't that good as a quarterback by any means. And even with Baltimore's defense being a little bit more iffy this year, their offense should be able to overpower that and still be able to put up a good bit of points even against this tough Steelers defense, get the win on the road, the big divisional matchup, and probably cover the 3 as well.
Yeah, Caden, this is a huge game for both teams. Obviously, huge major playoff implications. Those are kind of the two teams that are going to be battling it out for the division, that tough AFC North, So we're going to be watching that one closely.
Yep. We got my Patriots here now, who are at home against the Rams, where the Rams are a 4.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Caden, 4.5 points for the Rams. But the way this Patriots team is sneaky sometimes, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to cover. Ultimately, they're not winning this game. And I actually do think the Rams are going to have a bounce-back week and kind of get revenge from, their failures on the Patriots. Unfortunately, Caden, I'm sorry. Even traveling across the coast, a couple years ago, this is, traditional Tom Brady blowout game written all over it. But we are not in those times anymore.
We are not.
Unfortunately for your Patriots, Caden, I think the Rams cover this one.
Yeah, sadly, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. I just think the Patriots offense, they're not great. They're a lot better with Drake under the helm than with Jacoby, obviously. But they're still not great. And, the defense has its flaws, has its holes. And now you're going against a top running back in Kyren Williams.
Yes.
You have to be able to guard Puka and Cooper Kupp. And, Seagon should be able to lock down Kupp or Puka, whichever one he's guarding. But then you still have to deal with the other one who's going to find a way to get open, get the ball from Stafford.
Yes.
I do think the Rams offense just could be a little bit too much to handle, especially with the flaws we've seen, especially in the Patriots running D this year. Kyren should be able to have a big game. And then, as much as it pains me to say, I do think the Rams should be able to win this game by probably about a touchdown.
Most definitely kid.
Let's get into our afternoon slate now, though. We got your Broncos, who are at home against the Falcons, where they are a 2.5-point favorite.
Caden, finally, back home for the Broncos, they had that tough, road stretch, Baltimore, Kansas City. Lost those games. Baltimore wasn't even close. The Kansas City, they were robbed of.
Oof.
We already talked about that. That's old news under the rug. Looking at this Falcons game, I think this is a game that Denver Broncos should be able to win and let them cover. I think the defense has been their strength this year, and they are coming off a game where they absolutely terrorized Mahomes, and they played really solid. And I think at home they'll even play even better, and I think the fact that Kirk Cousins can't move.
He can't move. And he got added to the injury report today. He's questionable for going to the match.
He's beat up. I think those Denver pass rushers are going to be eager to put some heat on him. And I think the fact that the defense is so good, Caden, they'll be able to limit these weapons of the Falcons. And I expect them to eke out a close one. And even if they win 13-10, that covers the line.
Yeah, I think I'm iffy on this one because I think it's going to be a good football game.
It's going to be a good game.
Because, if the Broncos play like they did in the first half of the Ravens game, they're golden. Yes. Or not the Ravens game, the Chiefs game.
Well, they played great in the first half.
Actually, in the first half,
yeah.
Except for the last second touchdown to Zay.
The 1 minute.
Yeah. But the first half of that Chiefs game where their offense was clicking and looking good, they play like that, they have a really good chance in this game. If they play like the second half of that game, though, it's going to be tough for them to – because, the Falcons, while their defense has underperformed expectations here, they still have the playmakers.
And, hey,
Justin Simmons
Simmons is making his return to Denver, too, so that's something you have to note as well.
Justin Simmons picked 6 off Bo Nix?
No, not happening. I think that is true. It's going to be an emotional game for Simmons, and I expect, I think the Falcons know that, so I think they're going to try to put him in a position to maybe make some plays, maybe a safety blitz that they send him on. That's my prediction. But either way, I think Bo Nix protects the football, and I think he does enough to manage the game and allow the Broncos to finally get a W after a couple weeks.
Yeah, this is a huge game, obviously, for both teams. Both teams really need a win. After, bad loss to the Saints last week for the Falcons. Horrible loss for the Broncos last week against the Chiefs. So two teams coming off really bad losses, needing a win. I think really it's going to come down to, can the Broncos defense stop Bijan?
Yeah.
Bijan's really been putting it on as of late, has been finding the end zone, getting a lot of yards. One thing about the Falcons, though, can you stop putting Tyler Algier in on the goal line? Last week, it's first and goal from the 1. They let Tyler Algier run 3 straight run plays from the 1, and he gets stopped on first, second, and third down. Finally, on 4th and goal, they're like, I guess we could put Bijan back in. Easy touchdown. So, I think it'll come down to that. I think this should be a good game. But I'm actually going to ride with the road team here. I'm going to ride with the Falcons.
Sicko.
And I think they should be able to pull out a little road cover. Afternoon game, though, that's really big. We've got the undefeated Chiefs, 9-0 Chiefs, traveling to Buffalo, where the Bills are a 2-point favorite.
Caden, how the Bills are a 2-point favorite, I don't know, because it's the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're undefeated throughout this point. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills, I think, should cover at home. I think, it's advantageous to them. The fact that this Kansas City team's not played good all year, they've really, they've kind of just found ways to win. Ultimately, it's the only way to describe their play. They haven't been blowing teams out. That offense hasn't been as electric as it has been in previous years. Mahomes has turned the ball over, right? And I think that ultimately gives you a lot of optimism if you're the Buffalo Bills. That being said, the Bills always find a way to lose the game. Kid.
Always.
They
Against
just
the Chiefs,
always find a way to lose, and I don't think it'll be any different. I think, the Bills will have a lead, and, it'll all seem like they're going to win, and somehow the Chiefs, something Mickey Mouse will happen, and they're going to win, Caden, and cover.
I agree with you on that, yeah. Because it seems like every time these two teams meet up, the Bills will look great. They'll have a late lead.
Yep.
Then the Chiefs will just find a way to get the win at the end. And I see that happening again. I mean, yes, like you said, the Chiefs have not been looking as good. Their defense is still really good.
Yes.
Their offense, has not been clicking like it should. They've been being a little lackluster. But they just find ways to win the football game. Even last week. Don't need to keep bringing it up for you, but even last week on a game they should have lost.
I don't know why we have to keep talking about it.
Okay, how about, even the Bucs game. They let the Bucs come back and still find a way to win in overtime. This should be a game where, yes, it's really advantageous for the Bills to be at home in this matchup the way Josh Allen's been playing this year. But I do think, the Chiefs will just find a way, work their little magic, and find a way to cover and win this game.
Most definitely, kid.
Now we get to our primetime games for the week, though, where the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football are traveling to L.A. to face the Chargers, where the Chargers are a 1.5-point favorite.
Caden, I'm going to be honest, I'm really not looking forward to this game at all. I think this is a game of the most overrated quarterbacks in the National Football League battling off against each other, just in my opinion. That's not saying that these quarterbacks are bad per se. Yeah. I just think they have been, put in the same realm as Patrick Mahomes too many times.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And, they really haven't done much.
Yeah,
they haven't done much as a group. I think this game could go either way. It's a true 50-50 in my eyes because the way the Chargers have shown that they could compete well sometimes.
And they have the best scoring defense.
And they have the best scoring defense, right? They look cool. But then ultimately Chargers are another team that find a way to lose.
Oh, yes.
They find a way to lose football games. And I think, Joe Burrow and company are going to be hungry. They know what's at stake. I mean, the Chargers do as well, but that being said, I trust Joe Burrow a little bit more than I trust Justin Herbert. So I am going to ride with Bengals to get a road victory here.
Yeah, like you're saying, it's a really 50-50 game because, you have the Chargers who have the best scoring defense in the league. They haven't been giving up any points to anyone this year. And then, their offense isn't great. Like, Herbert's starting to look a lot better. He's finding the open man. Quinn Johnston's actually catching the ball.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey's coming into his own here. But, you look at what the Bengals offense has especially done these last couple weeks after that rough start. You saw last Thursday against the Ravens. Look at that offense. I know the Chargers have this great defense and everything. But like you said, the Chargers find a way to lose games that they could easily win. But also, yes, the Bengals defense is not good, but they've been improving since obviously that rough start. I don't think it's going to be a great football game. Not must-watch TV or anything by any means, but I like the Bengals and Joe Burrow, in this road matchup to come out and get the win.
I agree, kid.
Now we get to our Monday night game, which is another bad football game, to say the least. We got the Houston Texans back on primetime, traveling to Dallas to face Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, where the Texans are 7.5-point favorites.
Caden, this game would have been exciting, at the start of the season when people thought the Cowboys would at least stay on average and be good during the regular season.
For the last couple,
But this Cowboys team is atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
Dak's out. I think 7.5's even generous for the Cowboys. I think Houston should honestly go in there and stomp out the Cowboys. And if Houston doesn't, I think that says more about Houston as a team. Because, there should be really no reason why you don't come in and make a statement victory. As inconsistent as you've played, you should come in firing and want to just close off with a quick, easy road dub.
Exactly, yeah. Especially, you see the way both these teams played last week. The Eagles absolutely shut down the Cowboys. The Cowboys had 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
Cooper Rush had a fumble. Zeke had they had 4 fumbles as a team. Cooper Rush actually had 2 fumbles. And Trey Lance then came in through a pick. Their offense is awful. Oh, yeah. Their defense has improved now with Micah Parsons back, but they're still not good. And the Texans are going to be hungry for one, especially after losing the game that they definitely should have won last Sunday night against the Lions at home. Now you're going to play a really bad football team. It should be a stomping. Shouldn't be close. Texans should win by 2 scores easily, in my eyes.
I agree, Cade. Well, that wraps up our picks for this week, Cade. Before the people leave, what should they do?
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, share with all your friends, family, neighbors, everything. yeah, like you said earlier, we got 2 episodes coming for you today. Got for the UFC pod later.
Yes.
So we got more coming to you throughout the next couple weeks as well.
Most definitely. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.